So a lot of what I'm going to say is going to be very familiar to a lot of you, especially if you've kind of been in these realms for the last few years. And this is a lot of what I'm doing is I'm mapping and organizing what we already know or what we've intuitively had a sense of, and I'm clarifying certain nuances. What I've found is in this broader culture, there's a lot of self-development circling, so forth. There's a lot of little subcultures that have happened, and people that started off in the very beginning of some of these movements are not the same people that are teaching stuff in the new times. And this makes a difference. The time frame makes a difference, and certain subtleties and certain assumptions that were here in some of the earlier days, I'm going to say, are not being made explicit in some of the newer programs that are happening. And that's creating a lot of confusion and kerfuffle and dissonance. So first things first, I'm going to talk about a model that I call first, second, and third person relating. I also move into fourth, fifth, and sixth person relating, but we're going to focus on the first three. This is a working model, and I'm not calling it perspectives because my dad's got a thing on perspectives. Suzanne Cook-Reuter's got a thing on perspectives. Everyone's got a thing on perspectives. And mostly I'm just having to use words to articulate a terrain that I have experienced. So I'm calling it a working model because I'm open to having some feedback or some direction on, like, maybe this is a different word you could use. So first person, no, I'm going to move into second person actually. Second person perspective is the ability to basically drop me and move into you. I'm listening, active listening. I'm reflecting back what I hear. I'm honoring you. I'm going, is this right? I think this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm imagining is happening for you. Okay. We're really showing up for the other person. Second person. I'm doing this for you. First person is I'm really getting to know me. I know me and my wants and my desires and my experience and my tension and my shoulders, okay, and my historical trigger that's coming up. Okay, so first person relating, you're relating to yourself. You're getting to know the nuances of you, of me. So, oh God, this is going to get confusing. You're getting to know the nuances of me. Second person is you're really getting to know the nuances of other, of them, of you, okay? Now, we all have a tendency, we all have a capacity, we have a tendency towards one of these or the other. Some of us love disappearing and listening and showing up for other. Some of us, that is our most expansive state. We radiate. Okay, that we become good counselors, good therapists, okay, where we support others, good circlers. Others of us, and we need to, and others of us know ourselves, and we're like, yes, let me talk about me. This is so great. And that's powerful. We need both, okay? Some of us are really good at knowing our own personal experience, but we have to learn how to get into someone else's world. That's our edge. Okay, I know me really well, but what about getting to know you? Okay, so this is our edge. This is what we push into. Some of us know nothing about ourselves. And it's mind-blowing, and it's scary, and it's terrifying sometimes before it becomes really exciting. When we can say, oh, I do have a perspective. Oh, maybe this is what I want. Oh, maybe I want to say no to that and yes to that. Is that okay? Right? So what I'm saying is some of us know ourselves really well, and some of us don't know ourselves really well. This is first person. Okay. Second person. Some of us, it's really easy to get into someone else's reality. And some of us, we have to learn how to get into someone else's reality. Both of these have superpowers. Okay. And both of them are limited. They're not complete. You want to be able to move between both. You want to be able to know yourself and get to know other. Okay. Now in circling has the attempt to do something that's actually a very advanced practice. It, in its highest form, is saying, not only am I going to drop out of my experience and honor you and get to know you and tease out your reality and pull it out of what's happening for you, because that might be more of a therapeutic job. Okay, it's kind of like a one-way relationship. I just become open spaciousness for other. In advanced circling, we say, not only am I doing that, I'm also bringing in my experience. So I'm going to use my experience or my opinions or my perspectives or my physical sensations that are arising in the moment, in the subtleties and the moments in between. I'm going to use that, and this is the key, as information. I'm going to use my experience as information to help you better discover your reality, or to help us discover a reality between us. And I'm not going to get into what's happening in the space between too much, but this is important, okay? For me to do basically like a next level ninja, better second person relating, where I'm really getting into your reality, I am disidentified with my experience, but still aware of it enough that I can use it as information. I can use it as information to be curious about, to see if it informs what's happening in your reality. For example, I notice that I get tense when you share that story. Like there's a fear arising in me. I've got some choice points here. I'm wondering, is this a reflection of you? Do you have fear arising in your body? Am I feeling your fear? Or a different choice point, a different possibility is, do you think that maybe other people that you're in relationship with, that you struggle with, do you think maybe they end up feeling fear every time you bring up this subject? Do you think that's possible? So we just used a point of tension or contraction or fear in my body as something I was curious about. I can only be curious about if I'm disidentified with it or if it's an object, okay? And then I'm choosing to explore it. I'm not compulsively spewing it out. With this curiosity, I have choice points. I'm holding this as, do you think this contraction is a reflection of you as a possibility? Or, do you think this contraction in me might be something that like other people that you're around experience as well? So now we have an awesome piece of information for us to explore together. I don't know, let's see. And now we've got endless potentials, okay, with that single choice point. Again, that's me holding information in my body as a way of serving either you or the relationship, depending on what the focus is. Now, this is different than a first-person perspective battling a first-person perspective, okay? You can do really skillful, high-level, circling ninja, jujitsu, Jedi master work that looks like first person fighting first person. My perspective against your perspective. Let's go. Okay, it's exciting, it's exhilarating, it's fun. But for that to get pulled off really well, both parties need to actually be completely disidentified with almost all of the arisings that they're having in their system. And that's a high level meditative practice. That's like a full on vipassana practice. That's disidentification. That's being able to enter into a state of Rigpa. Okay, that's pure awareness. Whether you're trained in meditation or not, the ability to take your sensations, emotions, thoughts, or stories as an object or as an arising or as something to explore is high level. So if you're doing that, good for you, you're high level, okay? So when both parties are doing that, that's like the hidden thing that's happening underneath the surface. One person's first person perspective is fighting another person's first person perspective. And that's what I'm going to call Dharma combat. I'm going to call that sparring. When you're sparring, you're on the same team and you're fighting each other to increase your skill sets, your capacities, and your sharpness. Okay. But you're doing it together for each other. What has happened? And I saw that a lot of this is like when I was training, I trained at the Integral Center, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I saw a lot of this and it was high level and I loved it. And I do this with my mom. Sometimes we kind of push it a little bit, but it's profound. It looks to an untrained eye like two people fighting at each other. And so what we've got is we've got a whole culture of people right now who don't have self-awareness practices, who aren't holding their experience as object, who aren't doing any of this, and they are basically just fighting one another. And to me, this is like brute work. Yes, you release charge. Yes, you get to experience your voice being heard. Yes, you get to have the experience of fighting. And some of us need that. We've never had that. Okay. And that can be very empowering. And sometimes we get some sort of profound outcome. That's great. That's awesome if that happens. But a lot of the time, we don't have that profound outcome, okay? We just end up with two unskillful people fighting each other, okay? And usually when you've got unskillful people carrying around ninja stars, someone starts bleeding or someone gets stabbed in the wrong spot and you're wounded. The sparring's done. There wasn't a spar. You're not in a dojo practicing together, okay? It's just kind of like two people that signed up to just abuse each other. And some people need that, okay? I don't discount that. We all have our own historical things that we're playing out and trying to serve. But if you are someone who is trying to hold space, this is something you have to be aware of, okay? Fight Club is great for those who need Fight Club, okay? But a lot of people are showing up to these spaces desiring, and it's being marketed as being seen and heard. It's being marketed as you're going to have people give you space for you to have your first person experience be expressed. So you get to have all of that joy of releasing your charge, speaking your voice, getting to know yourself. Kicker is ideally you're going to have that experience and it's going to be received and held by other people holding second person space for you, okay? And that's where an immense amount of transformation takes place. If you've got a group of people allowing someone to explore their anger, explore their rage in a container, it's not reality, it's a false container, powerful things happen, okay? But that is different than first person against first person, untrained first person against first person, unaware first person against first person fighting. Okay, so distinction, creating a powerful space for a first person expression of pain, frustration, anger, desire, sexuality, whatever it is, that's being received by a conscious second person group. And I don't know what the word is for this, but a second person perspective person or group that can then maybe also weave in their personal experience as service to that person. That's first and second person, high level second person, separate. That's different than one against one. Okay. So we have to be careful in our marketing, what we're marketing. Okay. And of course, we don't know this because this is all really nuanced stuff, right? So that's part of why I'm trying to create this map, is so that you've got a better understanding. We've all got a better understanding of what it is we're doing, what we're offering, what we're not offering, and we can send people to other places depending on what the needs are. So that's first and second person relating. Like I said, high level second person, I don't have a term for that. If that's like fourth person relating or meta, I don't know. This is what I mean. It's a work in progress. Now let's talk about third. Third person relating. So I'm going to put this really simply. I'm going to say as soon as we move into third person, we're moving into an attempt to make object a series of experiences, or simply put, labeling. Okay, we're going to try to encapsulate. We're going to try to encapsulate an entire law of reality into a statement or a truth. So a third person statement is something to the effect of: the divine feminine is nurturing and loving. Third person statement is something to the effect of: well, yeah, he's a narcissist. Okay, that's a label. It's an attempt to encapsulate a bunch of different personal experiences that you've had, that you've since made, into the label, he's a narcissist. Okay, another third person way of relating is you're an anti-vaxxer, or you're an authority, you're in authority, or you're an authority. These are all labels. Okay, again, this is a working, I don't have quite the perfect languages, so any of you high level thinkers that might be watching this, feel free to give me the feedback. Let's work it in. So the power of circling in its essence, okay, is you are in a group and you say, own your experience. When we say own your experience, that usually means please speak in first person. Okay, well, I'm going to say you can't own your experience unless you know your experience, and you can't know your experience until someone's taught you and shown you how to know it. You have physical sensations, you have emotional arisings, you have stories and narratives, you have historical things. Okay, that's already just a quick internal scaffolding for knowing your experience. And you can only own your experience once you know your experience. Okay, so the power of circling is you get a bunch of people together and they make the promise of speaking authentically and taking risks and leaning into a certain thing and owning their experience. Okay, when you have a tight container where the facilitator and the participants hold each other to that standard of translating and transforming everything back into the subtlety of owning and knowing your experience, powerful things are possible. Just powerful. Okay. There was a bit of a shadowy, like, erg that started to happen. Anytime anybody started to talk about anything that felt heady, okay, people would say, you're in your head, stop. Okay, tell me what you feel, tell me what you think, tell me what you need. And there's value to that, but one, that's super unskillful facilitation. You're in your head. That's not helpful, okay? We need much better facilitators if we're going to try to get people to translate, going from third person to first or second person. There are some of us, I am one of them, where a major part of my inner truth is mapping things and applying labels to what's going on, okay? What's important is, do I know the difference between having a first person felt experience and am I taking that first person felt experience and applying it or creating a map or an intellectualization up here? Okay, so now we're falling into the realm of a third person experience. We're either going into our intellect, okay, or we're attempting to be objective and state what is, okay? As soon as we start doing one of these two things, it stops being pure circling, whatever that is, and it starts becoming what I call more of a group mind or explorative, I think they're using the term dialogos type dialogue. Okay, so as soon as we start bringing in either intellectualized thoughts or maps or an attempt to see third person, the trap is if you have a bunch of intellectuals getting together doing that and it's just your brains going back and forth, you just got a bunch of people stuck in your head, not being informed by the body system or the energy or the nuances that's happening in the space, okay? But if you have a bunch of people trained in somatic sensing, in vipassana, in disidentifying with your feelings, emotions, thoughts, and narratives, suddenly these attempts to make objective statements or these attempts or these maps, these become part of the arisings that get played with and informed by the feeling state. So this is how we say, let's have a discussion around rape victims and issues in third world countries with military personnel. Okay. Or let's have a discussion about how we can make more money at our business. Let's use that example better. So now we are ping-ponging ideas, okay? Intellectual thoughts. We're not just focused on our feelings and our relational status or experiences, but we are using our feelings and our relational experiences between one another to guide how we're going to have this discussion about how to make more money, or to guide how we're going to have this discussion about how to solve X problem in the neighborhood. Okay. And that is a whole other talk or teaching, which I'll unpack some other time. But as soon as we allow play in objectivity or intellectualization, we're moving out of the realm of just a relational practice of circling, and we're moving into the realm of more consciousness exploration, more downloading from the universe, more mind linking and getting our fields to start informing one another. Okay, it becomes a different practice. You can also work in the imaginal realm, which becomes more of a psychic intuitive thing, which is really, really cool. So this is a very messy, it's not messy, but it's not a perfectly nuanced first pass, but I'm trying to just give you the first pass because I think this is important. What we have is the ability to be a little less confused. First person relating, knowing my experience really well. So when someone is second person relating, they're helping me to know my experience really, really well. And it feels really, really good. Okay. Third person relating means we're allowing or there are labels and assumptions that are concretizing or bringing together a whole bunch of complexity into a single statement. Okay. Moving into these third person statements can be super, super dangerous if we don't have the skills of saying, what exactly do you mean by he's a narcissist? Can you name personally your experience? What are 3 things that he has done that you label as narcissistic? Can you tell me how that impacts you? Okay. So now we're unfolding the statement, he's a narcissist and he's abusive, into me using my second person capacities to help get into the first person reality of someone describing. Okay. So long as we know how to move through each of them, all of them are healthy. It's when we don't know, or we're jumping from one to another, that things can start to get dangerous. So first person, I know me really well. Second person, I helped get you to get to know you really well. Third person, I'm trying to take an objective statement and sense make or map what's going on either in this moment or previously. Okay. All of them have their roles. We all have our tendencies towards each of them. What's really important is for us to identify our personal tendency and learn how to do the other ones better. Okay. I will close up this video and I will move on to the next one, unpacking and creating a little more nuances in each of these teachings. Thank you.